Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about something weird I found out about counseling, the counseling world online today that I really want you all to know about because I think it's extremely important and a huge example of the human condition and why things need to change in order for us to be mentally stable. So I'm a cognitive behavioral therapist and I've studied a lot of different types of psychology, and I want to eventually get my psychology degree. But along the way, I've been taking a bunch of different trainings, and I was offered a position with an online counseling company. They have an app. People can basically write in and get paired with a counselor or a therapist, and that sounded really interesting to me. And so their intake, their training started as of last week, and basically it's, in a nutshell, relationship counseling, and everything really is relationship counseling. But they had their own pro forma, and so I was going to learn that, and then basically have my own client roster and sort of be an employee of theirs on contract, if you will. So what I noticed first of all is that they're very heavy in programming because the clients can text in, write in, call in if they like, but the majority of the clients were texting. And what I was learning after this is that the majority of the clients are coming to them for service to either mend fences with an ex, get back together with an ex, or to be able to be coached into how to be in a successful relationship. And those are the two biggest types of clients that were being seen. And so I spent a number of days learning their computer processes, and then I spent a full day shadowing a current coach. And I learned a few things that you need to know. First of all, the majority of their coaches were English as a second language, which isn't necessarily bad, but in this case, the ones that were English as a second language, they didn't have the same cultural backgrounds, and so I think a lot of them were more religious, and a lot of them were more just diverse than, say, your average North American human being. So relatability there was very low. Second, they had us tagging things within programs, with different types of cognitive distortions, if you want to call them that, different types of problems, things that other coaches were doing. You're going into live sessions and basically doing a peer review on what these people are doing. And then after, what I noticed is that all of this information could be used to add to an algorithm. And okay, fine, so the system gets smarter, but this was the scary part. The people writing in were writing in for actionable advice. That means they wanted to be able to do something to get results. And I did a lot of case studies and looked at a lot of their existing clientele. So what that meant to this particular company was that they were actually providing scripts to the clients to use with their significant other or somebody they wanted to be their significant other in order to mend fences or kick off a new relationship or let an old relationship die and then get into a different form of relationship with an ex. It was all based on instant gratification, and the majority of these interactions between coaches and clients were happening by text. The scariest part was they had their own format, which meant in a certain command script at the bottom of their processes, you could type in a certain letter and pre-written scripts were coming out. Pre-written scripts that the coaches didn't have to understand psychology or people or relatability or relationships or have any personal experience whatsoever with the clients. They could just hit a command based on the tags that they were that were being used by their peers in order to come up with a canned response for these clients. Oh my God. So I mean, it's so disingenuous. And then on top of that, they could toss clients, which meant those clients could be, I was looking at certain ones, tossed to 2 or 3 or 4 different coaches at a time, like in one session, because maybe a coach didn't have the skills, maybe a coach wasn't there, maybe they needed to talk to somebody right away. And so instead of handling the clients on a per coach basis, they were being tossed around in this system that was generating auto responses, and there were a lot of frustrated people. There is no way to get through life with instant gratification, and there's nothing more upsetting as a person who believes in human connection than seeing a business, a company foster instant gratification and lack of real communication. They wanted you to use their canned speeches and their pro forma and their format and their belief systems only. So as a psychotherapist, as a psychologist, as a psychiatrist, as a behavioral therapist, as whatever your background is, a counselor, they don't want to use your expertise. They want you to come into their fold and use that expertise because it draws out time. They're charging $1.25 per minute. They're charging $30 per 15 minutes. They're charging a half-hour rate and a 1-hour rate. And they're paying their base pay to their coaches, who could be somebody sitting in Manila at midnight talking to you and you're not sure of who they are, especially if you don't have them on the phone, is $10 to $13 per hour. And so in most cases in the United States, they're below, not in most, in a lot anyway, of cases in the United States, they're paying below minimum wage. And they are profiting gigantically. And so what I came to sort of understand was, I think what they're doing is they're using human interaction to build algorithms so that computers can generate the majority of conversation for $0, and then a $13 an hour employee can come in later and tweak some things to personalize. But quite honestly, it's the most inhuman, unsensitive, fake type of advice you're going to get. And there are people in abusive relationships on there, emotionally abusive. There are people wallowing in their own self-pity that need more assistance, that are being dragged into take 30 days off and then come back with this canned speech, and over and over and over again. And they're just perpetuating horrible mental health practices for the sake of $1. And it's the people in the background are disorganized. The learning materials are scattered with spelling mistakes and grammar errors. There's a very, and I hate to use this, but a very millennial hypersensitivity and hyper awareness of the people that are working in the background that seems very false. And so today I had to just say, I can't work with you, for you, or represent you, because I think what you're doing here is churning out robotic answers to real people, and that's not fair, and I don't think it's ethical. And along those lines as well, the majority of your coaches are not qualified to do anything. It's just a business. And they don't claim to have any degrees or PhDs or whatever. I think they just might be one of the cheaper options out there. But if you're paying 35 or 40 British pounds sterling, which is, between $30 and $35 depending, US, you're going to want somebody that is doing more than hitting command scripts in the background and sending you canned speeches. So please, I implore you, if you're looking for a coach, if you're looking for answers, if you're looking for somebody to help you through your struggles in life, if you're looking for somebody to vent to, go to somebody who's actually going to care about you. These people are seeing up to 15 people in an 8-hour period. 15 people in an 8-hour period. That's insane. They don't get to eat. They get constant messages coming through 4 or 5 different apps and screens and programs at a time. It's just the most unhealthy environment to provide mental health advice. So what I'm telling you is there are great programs out there. And if you're wondering which ones they are, please get a hold of me. I've done some work with some lovely companies that are ethical, that have real qualified, talented people who will be dedicated to your mental health success. But vet these places, okay? If you just want somewhere to vent, okay, go to the $20 an hour place to vent if you really don't want much out of it. But if you want progression, serious progression, if you want to grow as a human and not just hop from relationship to relationship, which is so much of what I saw. I could see serious emotional issues that needed to be dealt with, where a person's attention was going from person to person to person to person and not honing in on what they need to do for themselves to become a healthier person, with no coaching experience behind it, and that being allowed to happen and actually being fostered. Please do your homework, or if you don't know how to do your homework, DM me. There is a great mental health practitioner out there for every single one of us, including myself, and I just don't think it's all going to happen online. These things should happen in person, or at the very least on video chat or over the phone. This texting, DMing relationship is not human. We need human contact to do this. We need to be with people. We can't be talked to by bots. Every coach has a bot. Every coach has a bot. Bots that talk for them when they're not there, that they're pre-programmed to say stuff. I mean, I was so disgusted at the end of the day, I had to quit. Please ask me more if you want to ask me more. Or just ask me about people I recommend. And I will privately tell you who I don't. Mental health is so important. It shouldn't be handled by text message and IMing alone. Dangerous times.